What's up guys, Stark here. In today's character spotlight we are taking a look at Nursery Rhyme, who is going to be the 4-star servant who came along with Jack the Ripper in the new batch. So I do apologize, I am dealing with a bit of a cold, so I'm probably going to sound a little stuffy, but it's not enough to keep me out from making videos. So here we are. Nursery Rhyme's pictures are on the screen right now, and it's basically a play on Alice in Wonderland. So I do like the artwork. I think it is a really cool design, and she's a pretty good character overall. So I'm going to throw her stats up right now. She is a caster, so she will be effective against assassins and weak to riders, and like I said, she is a 4-star servant. So she's going to go up to level 80, having 8,629 attack and 11,882 HP. So those are okay stats. They're kind of like middle of the, not really middle, they're a little bit better than middle of the pack as far as overall stats go. But they're not bad stats, and she can do some pretty solid damage overall, especially for casters. But if you do decide to go ahead and max her out, she will end up with 12,448 attack and 16,407 HP, which is, again, really good stats. So moving on here to her skills, she does have, a pretty good selection of skills, although most, well, they're all for just self buffs, which kind of sucks, but it does make her a pretty good character, especially for casters. There's not a whole lot of really strong casters, and she's not like the strongest, but she does do quite a bit of damage. Anyway, her first skill is Self Modification A. Again, this is a self buff, and this will increase critical strength for 3 turns and increase your critical star gather rate for 3 turns as well. So at level 1 is going to be a 20% increase for critical strength, and it'll go up to a 50% increase at level 10. And then for the critical star gather rate, it'll start at 300% and go all the way up to 600%. So this is a pretty good skill here for crits, and it's kind of unusual for this type of character because she is an arts character, not a quick character, but she still does have the ability to generate stars and deal quick or crit damage. So that's pretty nice, and that's where most of your damage output's going to be coming in with this character if you do decide to use her. Her second skill here is going to be the Morph A+ skill. Again, this is a self buff, and it will increase defense for 1 turn, and then it will also increase defense for 3 turns and increase debuff resistance for 3 turns. So in that first turn, you're going to get a huge defense increase. At level 1, it'll be 30%, and at level 10, it'll stay at 30%. But it's still, it'll be comboed in with the second defense boost as well, which will start at 10% and then go all the way up to 30% at level 10. So, that's really, really good defense right there, especially if you have it maxed out. On that first turn, you're going to be taking, pretty much no damage. Well, I mean, you still take damage, but it'd be like half damage. And that's really nice, that makes it harder for her to be killed, and then you still have the extra turns of increased defense as well when the first turn's over. And then you have the increased debuff resistance as well, which is always nice, and it does combo in with her third skill, so that's going to be Once Upon a Time A. Now this is a self buff as well, and it will increase your Noble Phantasm gauge, restore your HP, and remove debuffs. So anything that gets through your second skill, you'll be able to clear out with your third skill, and then you'll also be able to heal back a little bit and increase your Noble Phantasm gauge. So it'll start at 20% at level 1 and goes up to 40% at level 10, which is a little weird. Usually these types of skills are like 50%, but really 10% on a quick card, or an arts card rather, is not really that much of a big deal. And then for the HP heal, it's going to be 1,000 HP at level 1, and it's going to go up to 2,000 HP at level 10. So overall, it's a really nice utility skill. Unfortunately, it's just a self buff. If this could be used on any character, that would make this skill, so much better. Unfortunately, it's not. But still, it is a really nice skill, and it will definitely help that character spam your Noble Phantasm as much as possible. So moving on here to her class skills, she only has one, and it's going to be the Territory Creation A skill, and this will increase art card effectiveness by 10%. So this is really nice, comboed in with the other skills, and she is an arts card, so you're going to have a lot of arts cards to work with, so you're just going to be doing a little bit more damage when you go ahead and use those arts cards. And that's really nice because casters kind of lack damage, so having something like this will definitely help a little bit. Moving on here to her Ascension and Skill Enhancement materials, she doesn't need a whole lot. She does need some pages and lanterns and the feathers, but it's not a whole lot of each of those. You should definitely be able to attain those. We are pretty deep into the game right now with a couple events under our belt, and as you guys have noticed, you can get these items fairly easily from the events just by playing. Moving on here to her skill enhancement materials, Again, she needs much of the same here, except without the pages. Instead, you'll need the homunculus babies. Moving on here to her command cards and her noble Phantasm, she's going to have 1 quick, 3 arts, and 1 buster. So ideally, you do want to keep her in an arts team, and that's primarily where you want to use her. But she does have pretty solid, star gains, so you could try and throw her into a quick team if you want, but ideally you do want to keep her focused on arts teams. Moving on here to her noble Phantasm, it is going to be an AoE noble Phantasm that will deal heavy damage to all enemies and have a chance to increase the noble Phantasm charge of an enemy on an overcharge, and then it will decrease defense for 3 turns. So this is a really good noble Phantasm in my opinion. It's an AoE skill that does a ton of damage, and it's an arts AoE as well, so you're going to be able to recycle it more often and get your noble Phantasm ready and spam it, especially with her 3rd skill. And you can use things like Kaleidoscope or something like that. We'll talk about the craft essences a little bit later, but you can use stuff like that to recycle the noble Phantasm and just keep using it. And it does increase or decrease defense, and then you do have a chance to decrease the noble Phantasm charge of enemies as well. You can also power this up with an interlude quest, and this will be coming out in the London Singularity, which will be coming out in the game pretty soon. And then that'll bump up the damage to 600% at level 1, 900% at level 5 if you do, if you're lucky enough to get 5 of her. So yeah, overall, it's in my opinion, it's a pretty good noble Phantasm. You're going to be doing quite a bit of damage with her, which is a very rare thing for casters. Yeah, it's pretty nice. So now moving on to some of the craft essences that you can use on this character. First up will be her unique craft essence that you get for level 10 bonds, and this will be the Wonderland craft essence. And while equipped, it will increase critical strength of all allies by 15% and increase HP recovery amount by 10% while in the field. So this is a pretty generic craft essence as usual. It's probably not something you ideally would want to use. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the better options. First up here, in my opinion, would be the Kaleidoscope craft essence. Now this will start you at 80% or 100% if you do have a max limit broken, and that just helps for her noble Phantasm span. You start using it at the beginning of the fight, and then you can just keep recycling it as much as you can. It's a good option. It's probably not the option I would use though. I would probably go for the projection for the 15% increase for quick arts card effectiveness. I always mix them up, I don't know why. Or you can go with formal craft for the 25% increase as well. It'll just help deal a little bit more damage for Nursery Rhyme, and you kind of want to do a little bit of extra damage with her. So that's pretty much going to wrap up this video here for Nursery Rhyme. I will leave you guys here with her noble Phantasm, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
繰り返すページのさざ波、押し返す草のしおり。すべての童話はお友達よ。